Hello everyone and welcome back to Passion Sundays, the best way to end the week and start another. Our guest today is the lead news creation editor at BuzzFeed. Sara, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Thank you very much for being with us today. It's awesome. You're being interviewed in a media platform, about a media platform that's doing phenomenal. It doesn't get more passionate than this. So tell me a bit more about what you do.
So I am a lead news curation editor at BuzzFeed, and so what that means is that we have this team called the News Curation Team, and we're responsible for distributing all the stories that BuzzFeed publishes on the news side. And so we're running social media platforms, we're running a news app, we're sending push alerts and running the homepage, and so we're a really cool team of people.
All right, and you seem to be excited about the job, so how did you end up doing that?
So I started out doing more editing and commissioning, that kind of like more traditional, I guess more traditional news. Mm-hmm. But I always loved social media, and I always loved like how people communicate and talk about stories on there. And so I eventually became more of a social media editor, but the thing that I started doing at BuzzFeed was basically just like really like geeking out on how people like understand news stories and how they actually like read them and share them, and it's really cool to be in a space where I can like completely focus on that.
Nice. And how did you end up doing what you're doing? I mean, did you start in a similar field, or you had a bit of a transformation somewhere along the way?
So I started out in human rights, and I was doing some stuff around like women's rights and freedom of expression, and I realized that I just wasn't like, I felt like a lot of people were like talking to only people that agree with them. So I started to feel like I wanted to move more into journalism, because I was like interested in the web and like in kind of social media and how people were like I think this is around the time of like all the kind of like this was around the time of like Occupy and like the Arab Spring and everything. So like I just became really interested in more of the like social media kind of side of things. And I just really wanted to understand, how do you talk directly to people and how do you get them to understand things versus just talking to people that agree with you on the same topic.
That's interesting, because usually when people are pursuing their passion, they only want to talk to somebody who tells them that they're right. Yeah. But what you're saying is actually you started pursuing somebody that might not agree with you to keep you motivated to communicate more.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think that's like the great thing about, you know, news, like working in news in an environment like the one that we're in now, is that you have more feedback from people. And I think that for me, what's really cool about my job is that, you know, I do see lots of different perspectives, and I get to see what the conversation is like about a certain topic. And I think that's really important to kind of keep you understanding what's happening around you. I
like that. Well, how about when the disagreement becomes a little bit too much? So if everything around you is disagreeing with you for a little bit too long, you start doubting your performance, you start doubting your passion. How do you find passion in those times?
So I mean, it's hard for us because because I'm sitting on social and I'll see like kind of the attitude towards news right now is pretty negative. And I would say, I think that all it does is it tells you, you know, this is the environment we're in right now, this is the climate we're in, and like as like journalists and as like news organizations, we have to win the trust of the people that are that maybe don't believe us or think that we're biased or think that we're, you know, insert whatever word that they would want to use. And I think that all it does is convince me that we need to be like better at our job and better at understanding like the environment that we're in.
Nice. And as you're progressing with your journey, and you must be people that do not truly agree with your passion, even in an organization where in a big picture you might, but I'm sure there are disagreements on details. Yeah. How do you stay focused on your passion while you're able to deliver on the bigger purpose also, or the bigger passion, which might not work together very well?
Do you mean like in a kind of like, if you're like colleagues don't necessarily...
Colleagues or management, or at the end of the day, yes, you are the lead editor, but you've got somebody more senior than you, and then
there's the global curation editor.
Okay, so there's always somebody more senior than somebody. How do you deal with clashes at that level?
I mean, I think that the thing I love about the company I work for is that I feel like everyone listens to each other, and then everyone gives each other a space to disagree or to talk about something. So I've never felt that my ideas were disrespected or not heard. And I think that that's really important, because I've been in places before where I didn't feel like people listened to me, and they would just be like, I'm in charge of you and that's it. Whereas like where I work now, like everyone listens to what I might have to say, and I'll listen to them. And it's the same for the people on my team. I always listen to what they have to say, and like, you know, if they really disagree with something, I'm gonna be respectful of what they want, because I think that like being able to listen to each other and disagree and see other views is the thing that makes you better in what you're doing.
So you're okay if a lot of people disagree with you?
I mean, it depends on what it is. I mean, I think that like, yeah, I mean, I think I think it's important to be able to hear like why people are disagreeing with you. And I feel like that helps you grow, and it makes your strategy better, because I think people feeling confident enough to say, I don't like this, is really important. And to be able to say, I don't like this because of X, Y, Z, like being actually able to articulate it is really important.
Okay. So be able to articulate what you agree and what you disagree on, both ways.
Yeah, and you grow more. Everyone does.
I guess media is about communicating what your passion is, in a way.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for this awesome interview. Really appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks. Passion. What do you think? I would really love to hear your opinion. So if you found this episode as useful as I did, leave your comments on the blog below. And if you'd like more tools, tips, techniques, and exclusive interviews that I only share on my website, go to Moustafa.com. And until next episode, live passionately.